I think this is my first time wearing my real hair on the podcast.
It might be, actually.
It is. Yeah.
I prefer it, honestly.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I can't stand my real hair.
You look
One,
like
because I feel like it
about
never grows, but I know it's growing because like literally my hair is down here now. It's just that I have very freaking bad shrinkage. It's insane. But anyway, we hope you guys have had a wonderful week. I am your host, Amara B.
I'm Logan, the other host.
There you go. And welcome back to the Spiritual Love Podcast, where we talk about stuff. If you guys haven't followed us on Instagram or any of our social medias, make sure you guys go do that, because we have all of them linked in our page on our YouTube channel. We have his, we have mine, we have our joint one. Mm-hmm. So make sure you guys go follow us on TikTok, all the socials. And yeah, we mainly are very active on Instagram. I wouldn't say very active, but we're more active on Instagram than we are on any of our other socials. But TikTok, we try and get more active on.
Yeah.
So we're going to be doing some fun stuff on TikTok and stuff. And then that'll be on Instagram. It's like discussionals, like literally what we do on here. And we just put like a little clip on there. But anyway, so welcome to today's podcast. Today we're going to be talking about, like you said earlier, communication, the importance of communication in relationships and how it can help or hurt your relationship. Mm-hmm. We hope that you guys were having a wonderful week. We just got off of work ourselves. Today is Friday Eve. Thank God. So happy for the weekend. So ready for the weekend. Anyway, like I said, today we're going to be talking about communication. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So today, welcome back to the podcast. Mm-hmm. Today we're going to be talking about the importance of communication in relationships. How it can help or hurt your relationship if you have poor communication or if you have really great communication. Mm-hmm. So basically, we'll start with what does communication look like in a healthy relationship to you?
I think it starts off with like
us. Say no. But it's just...
It's fine.
It's probably bad to move it after we already started, whatever.
It's fine. I think it just, with your partner, you should be comfortable to talk to them about anything.
That's what you think?
And honesty and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, there's literally every aspect of the relationship. You shouldn't be able to be afraid to come up to me and talk to me about something.
I agree.
Even if it's about you or like me or something.
Right.
You know?
I feel like you shouldn't, like you said, you shouldn't be afraid, because if you are afraid, then that means that you don't have that open line of communication with your partner. And that means there are things that are going left unsaid, which can lead to a whirlwind of stuff, but we'll get into that later. Mm-hmm. So let's start with our, first topic. So poor communication and how it affects your relationship. So basically, whenever you're in a relationship and you don't have that line of open communication, I feel like it can lead to a lot of unnecessary arguments. I feel like it ends up being to a point where you don't feel comfortable being around your partner or communicating with your partner, because you know that, like, say you have somebody who's dismissive, right? Mm-hmm. Or say you have somebody who just doesn't want to hear the things that you're talking about. I guess it's being dismissive too. Mm-hmm. But those can lead
out the other.
Yeah, right. Goes in one ear, out the other, or they're just not a good listener. Those can lead to unnecessary arguments, or even in extreme circumstances, it can lead to like physical altercations with your partner. So have you ever experienced or witnessed a relationship where poor communication caused tension in the relationship, specifically relating to something that you went through?
Yeah. Like, I've had relationships before where it was impossible to talk to her about anything. Mm-hmm. Or as I expected to put, I'm just supposed to be a mind reader. Right. I think that's something that a lot of men experience.
I think a lot of women do that too, because they're like, It depends, because I feel like I was in that situation too, but sometimes I just want to be left alone. Like in the past, I would just want to be left alone and stuff. Mm-hmm. Even now, but you know what I mean, talking about my past self, I would just want to be left alone, right? And the guy, I hate when guys sometimes they always try to guess what's wrong with you. You know what I mean? But in the situation for me, I feel like I've always been in circumstances where a guy will automatically assume like what they feel like is wrong with me, right? And then they just don't care anymore, and they kind of just go and do their own thing, and I'm just looking like, well, okay, you know, well, you know what I'm saying? Wow. But I'm like, okay, forget me then, because you clearly don't care enough to like ask me what's going on or whatever the case may be. And sometimes women just walk away because they need time, but then I get what you're saying, because there are some women who will be like, they want you to kind of interject and be like, what's wrong? Like, is it this? Is it that? Is it this? Is it that?
Well, and like, then, sometimes she'll be like, hey, what's wrong? I'll be like, really? You don't know?
Yeah, exactly. And it's
no, I don't. That's why I asked you.
Right, how am I supposed to know? And I think that comes with maturity too. Like, because if you have somebody who's immature, they're not going to be able to have an open line of communication with you, because they don't know what good communication is, you know?
Right. No, exactly. Because I think, you know, I think that really does come down to maturity too. Like, I agree. Because, I mean, if you're an adult and you're like, really, you don't know what's wrong, be like, I mean, why can't you just be an adult and just say
You could also be in a position where you never learned how to communicate with somebody, and as a 40-year-old adult, you're just kind of lost in the sauce. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I think it comes down to maturity, knowing that, like, acknowledging that you don't have good communication, and then figuring out ways of how you can fix it. Because usually, I think the leading causes of communication failure or poor communication is people who don't listen. Yeah. Like, they let one thing go into one ear and out the other, or people who listen to respond. Mm-hmm. Those people,
you're very irritating,
get on my nerves, because it's just like, if you're only listening to respond, you're not listening to how whatever is going on is affecting the person that you're talking to. You're just listening because you want to have some type of retaliation. You know what I mean? Right. So it's like, what is the point of having a conversation anyway? Because you're going to talk in circles. You feel me? You're never going to find a common ground or find any type of reconciliation with each other, because you're constantly trying to figure out, okay, how can I one up this person in the sense of like, they said this, well, now let me retaliate and say this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you're being too emotional about it, or like you're just not taking the time to think.
Yeah.
You know, and also I think some people take things the wrong way.
Yeah, people take stuff to heart. That kind of goes into what we were talking about last week. We were talking. If you guys haven't checked out last week's video, make sure you go check that out. But we were talking about. I was about to say soul ties, but we weren't talking about soul ties last week. That was the week before that. What was it last week? It was
I don't remember.
That's terrible.
No, seriously.
That is terrible. Anyway, it relates to last week's topic for sure. But words hold power. Yeah. That's what we were talking about. And people just kind of take things to heart, and they take things at face value instead of like thinking and digging deeper into the situation. Because I feel like sometimes when people don't know how to communicate, or they have poor communication skills, it's usually they have deeper feelings going on, but they just don't know how to express it. And if you just take the first thing that they say at face value, it could go either way. It could go in a way where people may feel immediately offended by what the person said, or I don't know. You know what I mean? So, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, I think, yeah. That actually leads me to my next question for you. Okay. How do you know when communication starts to break down in a relationship? Because you know, sometimes when you start off in a relationship...
I love how he asked me a question and he started answering.
No, that's what I'm saying. You know, when you start off in a new one, it's like that honeymoon stage where things are going good, but then it's like things get tough. So So it's like, how do you know when the communication starts to break down?
I think once you know you are irritated a lot in certain situations, like for instance, in my previous relationships, anytime, like, so I've been in situations where I would be with a guy, right? I would tell them we have communication issues and this is one of the leading causes of why I don't want to be in this relationship, right? And they will do everything in their power to try to fix it, and they'll fix it for like a week, and then once that week is gone and I feel like things are changing, then they go back to their old ways, right? So now this builds this frustration in me, right? Obviously, stupid old me stayed, but it builds this frustration over time because now I'm like, okay, you hear my concerns. So this is, again, a part of communication. You hear my concerns, but you only care about it for the moment. You don't care about it as a long-term fix.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that messes with me because it's like, now I don't want to be here anymore. Now it leads to other things in a relationship. Why am I dealing with this? Why am I even with this person in the first place? Whatever. You feel me? So I feel like once you start to feel like in your relationship, maybe you feel like you can't ever say anything in your partner, or if you say something you feel like it's just going over your partner's head, or if you say something and you feel like it's just being thrown under the rug, like they don't care, and you start to see this anger or irritation fester inside of you, I feel like that's when you start to worry.
Right.
You know? What do you think?
I would agree, because I think when you start, me personally, I've been in relationships like getting like one word answers out of people. Like, oh, hey,
like,
how you
I'm
feel?
fine.
Yeah, which it's I'm fine. Well, we all know that means you're not fine.
Right.
So it's stuff like that where it's like key indicators. I can say, oh, okay, yeah, this is good. You know? Yeah,
because I feel like even me and you have had moments where, not a lot, but we've had moments where we, you know, because you know what type of person I am. I'm a type of person who, you know, we'll get into that later because we're going to talk about that later. But anyway, let's move on to our next topic. So our next topic, we're talking about when silence is better than words. Actually, what I was about to say would have led right into the dang topic. Anyway, so if you want to read the verse for us.
So in Proverbs 10:19, it tells us, sin is not ended by multiplying words, but the prudent hold their tongues. So sometimes it's better just to not say anything at all. You know? So
what I was about to say to the earlier question was, for me, silence is golden, right? And I'm not saying your partner is talking to you and you are choosing to just be like, no, that's rude. That's
like intentionally annoying.
Yeah, that's intentional. But when me and him, whenever I'm in a mood, right, he can always tell when I'm in a mood because I wear my heart on my sleeve. So I get very quiet. But after a while, it's always something in me that says, let him know what is going on. I'm the type of person who needs a minute. Okay, I need a minute to figure out how I feel in the situation before I just come out and say how I feel, right? Because there have been situations in my past where I will blatantly just come out saying how I feel about something to the person, and either I don't get everything out there that I need to say to that person, or I say the wrong thing in the wrong moment and then it creates something bigger, right? So as I got older and learned communication, I started to kind of take things where I could take them in doses, right? I like to take time for myself to walk away from the situation, think about it, figure out the things that I want to say to the person, and figure out what they were saying to me so I know that I'm understanding their side as much as I want them to understand my side. And then later I come and we have that conversation, right? So there have been times in our relationship where literally he'll see me and he'll see that I'm upset, and sometimes I'll just stay quiet for a little bit, and then once I see that it's bothering him, I'll let him know. Like, and that's never intentional, but once I see that it's bothering you, I always come to you and I'll be like, I just need a minute.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then I walk away. Or I'll say something along those lines. It might be maybe not those exact words, but I'll walk away, and then I always come back probably not even within an hour, probably less than that, and we talk it out. You know what I mean? But sometimes I feel like it's important for people, especially people who have like sharp tongues, to walk away from the situation and then come back and figure out what's going on. Right. You know?
Yeah, I think sometimes this is a better course of action, because if you just start saying stuff off the top of your head in that moment, like I said, we're very emotional beings. Mm-hmm. You're just spitting out poison and stuff in the moment because you're just not thinking about it. It's heat of the moment kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where sometimes it's just better just to, relax, just take a moment and gather your thoughts. Don't say anything.
So, since we're on that topic, can you recall a time where choosing silence helped you de-escalate a situation?
Yeah, I think before I graduated college, like working those retail jobs. Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness, my allergies. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know, because sometimes he be clapping back because you told me there's some stories.
Yeah, sometimes. But other times I'm just like, I don't got time for this. I guess it was more like ignoring people, but I'm not going to say anything, fine.
Yeah, I feel like when you choose silence, or rather to kind of take time, it also helps you to maintain your peace. Mm-hmm. And because I feel like when you step out of your character and you kind of explode, or whatever that's festering inside of you just comes out, it can make you step outside of yourself, of who maybe you used to be, or somebody you don't want to be anymore, you know what I mean? So I feel like when you choose silence, you're choosing peace for yourself, because I'm not allowing this situation to upset me to the point where it's going to make me explode. I'm going to take my time and I'm going to back away from this. Yep. You know what I mean? So I could definitely resonate with that. Like, even in the sense of like it being in work, you know what I mean? Like, taking a step back, especially with some people who don't know how to talk to people, it's just like, okay, I'm not dealing with this today. Yeah, I choose peace.
Yeah, because sometimes, like, if someone's talking crazy to you, especially working like something with this face-to-face with customers, or even if you're talking to somebody at work and you're emotional, you start saying crazy stuff, you could get fired and all that. When it's tough in the moment, but if you just put your ego to the side and just you can avoid a lot of situations.
So how do you know when to speak and when to stay silent then?
If you feel your blood boiling, probably you should just take that as a sign like, don't say anything.
Yeah.
Or like if you're in,
but say it's in a situation where you're in a relationship, right? And in that moment it's like really heated, both of you guys are like at your highest point and your peaking point, but if you don't respond and you let it go, that something bad might happen, like y'all may break up or something, or I don't know, you know what I mean? If it's meant for y'all to break up, you should break up. But I'm saying, like, if it's something that you're meant to fight for, and in that moment, if I'm silent in this moment, I know that it's going to end everything. Like, what would you do in a situation like that?
That wouldn't be a situation where you got to be silent if you got to talk about it.
Yeah, but how do you know?
Oh. I don't know. I guess that's when discernment is important. To like listen to God, listen to Holy Spirit, what they want to do. Because there have been times where it's like, Holy Spirit be like, don't you dare.
But sometimes I think the answer really is like, you can be silent and still inform someone of what's going on. You
can read body language and stuff, but you just stop and like, oh, okay.
Well, no, I don't mean it in that sense. I mean more so like I was saying earlier, I know this is a really important conversation for us to have right now, but I'm just not feeling up to it right now. Do you mind if we reconvene later?
Yeah.
Won't not reconvene. I sound like I'm at work.
Be back in 5 minutes. Go take a restroom break.
Right, but like just a way like, okay, I can get my silence, but I can also let them know like it's I'm communicating with you.
Right. Yeah, because sometimes like What you could say is like, hey, I just need a minute. Hey, let me think first.
Did you have that crack on there?
Hmm?
Oh, never mind. Anyway, yeah. But moving on to our next segment. Why don't you move us on?
All right. So, in Proverbs 12:18, the words of the reckless pierce like swords, but the tongue of the wise brings healing. So words do have power. Reckless, harsh words can wound you deeply, while thoughtful, caring words can bring healing, clarity, and reconciliation. Mm-hmm. So, how have words either hurt or helped you in relationships that you've had?
Both. I can talk about how they hurt me and how they help me. So, how they hurt me is me saying something that I don't truly mean because I didn't take that time to think about it, and just having that sharp tongue and just saying something like I hate you, or something harmful to the person where I know that it will leave long effects on them, right?
Yeah.
So those are circumstances of how it has hurt me, and how they've helped me is either speaking into myself or speaking to other people and kind of letting them know, like, hey, like wait. My bad, let me run it back. So it has helped me because being able to communicate with somebody, there we go, has helped me in the sense of being able to express how I feel. And that person taking that, which you have only been the only person that has done that, but you taking that in and taking my feelings into consideration, now I feel like I'm not silenced anymore, you know? Because as a kid, I feel like I struggled a lot with expressing myself because I felt like I was very shy and timid, and I didn't want to really talk to anybody. You probably could think that now because I'm very outspoken now.
Yeah.
But before I was very shy and timid, and I felt like my words didn't matter. I didn't feel like I mattered because I felt like when I was in a room with people, I probably could go like invisible to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in relationships, that's why it was so important for me to feel like what I was saying mattered. Mm-hmm. So people, aka you, when you listen to me and you listen to the words that I'm saying, it makes me feel validated that my feelings matter. So that's how they've helped me.
You're welcome. I'm just kidding.
What about you?
Yeah, it's like I feel like when it comes to us, I feel like you encourage me, uplift me and stuff. So
it's like, no.
What do they be doing? Yeah. But yeah, I think when they say communication is key, it's kind of a cliche, but it's true.
It is.
It's like words can either hurt you or uplift you. Because I think that phrase, sticks and stones may break my bones, or words will never hurt me. I feel like that's like not all the way true. Because you could have, even people who do say that, you could say anything, it'll get under somebody's skin.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you touched on that last week.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I remember you saying that. But let's not touch on that topic too much since we talked about it last week. So if you guys want to check that out, you guys can go head over to the last video. And it will be about how words hold power. So moving on to our next topic, de-escalating through gentle responses. So Proverbs 15:1 teaches, a gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. So basically, in a nutshell, how we say things, it matters how we say things, because if you say something in a certain way, a person may get easily offended by what you're saying. And this is also something that we talked about last week, so we won't go too crazy into this either. But why do harsh words... No. What are some ways to practice gentle communication in a heated moment? That's a good one.
Yeah. I would almost say like pray about it one. Because that's how God wants us to be.
Be slow to anger.
Yeah, you should be slow to anger because God is slow to anger. We just strive to be more holy and be more like Him, and He is slow to anger.
Right.
So if you're in a conflict, using gentle words can de-escalate the situation.
Yeah.
And that's something that God obviously taught in the Bible, that we initially want to react in the way that they're treating us, which is all that's going to do is make things worse. You're just adding fuel to the fire. Like imagine there's a fire, and you're at there's a fireplace, and you react in the same way, and you just throwing gasoline, or you're going to light the whole house on fire. Where if you use more calm and more gentle words, it'd be like throwing water on a fire. You just put it out right then and there. Because
I think another important thing is tone too.
Yeah.
Because tone can be misconstrued. Because you could say a simple word like please, but if you yell please, it has different values.
Yeah,
got different levels.
There's a difference between excuse me and excuse me.
Yeah.
Well, not saying that.
Exactly. So that is so funny.
Yep.
Anyway, so I feel like tone and absolutely what you said too matters.
Yeah, because there's been times where I said I don't know if you guys ever worked retail or any of those kind of jobs where you have to do training modules. They always say if a customer is acting hostile towards you, and they'll give you little prompts. The always the right answer is to de-escalate using calm words and stuff. So in a way, I think that's a World War example too. Even in the workplace, they don't even want you to, talk crazy to them, because all you're gonna do is rile them up even more.
I don't know when it stopped. Did you see?
No.
Oh. Well, don't know when it stopped. So in regards to what you were saying about the 50-50, I disagree in that sense. Or you said 100. I disagree in that sense. More so yes. In an ideal world, you do want your partner to give 100. However, there are some situations where you may be feeling like a 10 and your husband or your partner is feeling like a 90. You know what I mean? So I feel like in order to equate to be 100% together, I feel like sometimes your partner has to make up for the slack. You know what I mean? But that also goes into communication, because it's I can let you know, hey, I'm not feeling great today. My mind is just off. So I'm just letting you know. If there's anything that I do that irritates you, it's probably because of that. And don't take it all personal. And then you may have to pick up the slack of making sure you're carrying the relationship. You know what I mean? And that shouldn't be an all the time thing, but sometimes you may be 70, I may be 30, or whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? And sometimes we may be both just 100. Who knows? Yeah. But sometimes I feel like you have to pick up the slack for your partner.
No, I agree. Yeah. But long story short, you both got to put in effort.
Absolutely.
It can't be one-sided.
Yeah, it can't be. Communication, I feel like this relationship, we talk about this all the time, this relationship that I'm in now is probably the most healthy relationship I've ever been in my life. And I think it's strictly because, first and foremost, God. Us having God in the center. I've never had a relationship where I've had God in the center of both of our lives. But I've also never been in a situation where I've had open communication like I've had in this relationship. And I feel like us having open communication has helped with so many different circumstances that we have been through together. And it has allowed us to thrive as much as we have, because we are pulling up on 2 years. Skirt. And I feel like in our almost 2 years of dating, we have not had a blowout argument, which is insane, because this is the first relationship that I've ever been in where that has not been the dynamic. But I love it because it's nice, you know what I mean? Because it's I know I don't have to worry about it escalating there, because there have been times we have tick for tats, you know what I mean? Or we be not seeing eye to eye and we hit, but we always make sure that we come around at the end of the day to either you'll apologize for something that you've done, or I'll apologize for something that I've done. But at the end of the day, we always come around and talk to each other about how we're feeling. And if anything, we never go into the next day with the stuff that we were facing.
No, exactly. That's another verse too, because I think I said in the last episode where you shouldn't let the sun set on your anger. You know, but all of this, I think it also be tied into everything we said. Could be tied into your own personal relationship with God too, because you need to have an open communication with Him, which is through prayer. Because I think a lot of people think that you can't be honest with God, like He will be mad at you, or like they think that if they don't say it in prayer that it didn't happen. I'm like, well, I mean, God is all it. He's everywhere all at once. So I think I heard Pastor Philip say this too. He's like, you just gotta when you have an open prayer life with God, and you have to have a strong prayer life with God. That will help build a relationship with Him, to have the open line of communication, because it is a direct line of communication with Him. But when you're doing that, you also have to be honest with Him, because you'll be surprised, like you'll be praying, you'll be struggling with something and never talk about it in prayer with God, and then wonder why you're still jacked up in that area. Because with God, something all you need to do is just be honest with Him. Like, listen, I'm struggling with this. I'm struggling with anger. Or I'm struggling with like lust. I'm struggling with this greed or something. Like, if you just bring it to Him, like you have to have some sort of humility and humble yourself. Just be honest with Him, and that could be the key to, solving your issue, or just Him answering your prayer. Just be like, okay, because sometimes all He needs you to do is just be honest with yourself and with Him. Just be like, look, I'm struggling with this, or like I don't understand why my partner does this.
Especially if it's a relationship that you really want and you really cherish, and you know that it's meant for you to be together. Because sometimes we fight for things that we don't necessarily need, or God never intended it for us to have. And I feel like if you know it's a relationship, like I know this is a relationship I would fight for. If anything was to happen in the future, I know that I'm going to do everything in my power to fight for it. You know what I mean? I pray that nothing happens in the future, but you know what I mean? So I feel like it's really important to make sure that you guys are fighting for what you believe, fighting for the things that you want, and fighting for the things is ultimately up to God, but fighting for all of those things and making sure that you, like you said, have open communication with God and your partner, and even having a prayer life with your partner, so that you guys can both be on the same wavelength when it comes to what you're asking God for and everything. And God will literally deliver. He will help you figure out whatever is going on in your life, so that you guys can, figure out this hurdle that you're going through. So but we hope that you guys enjoyed today's video.
Even though we had technical difficulties.
We did. Hopefully nothing cut off. But we'll see you guys next week in episode 13. Oh my goodness. That's crazy. We're in double digits already. We've been in double digits.
We in the teens now.
We in the teens now. That's crazy. That's crazy. Anyway, we hope you guys have enjoyed this video. We hope that you guys join us next week for our next video. And like I said, make sure you guys subscribe, and also make sure you guys go check out our social medias. Like I said, on TikTok, we're going to be doing some fun videos. We're trying to get into doing fun videos. And then Instagram, we have other stuff on there as well. We also have a travel channel. So whenever we travel, we are planning on going so you guys can meet Kobe Wobi. And Mila Bila. Come here, Mila. She's like, girl, I want to come.
I know, right? Come. We have a Spotify too, but we're having difficulties with them. They won't let us upload anything. We have like 9 episodes up there, and all of a sudden it's not working, so we gotta figure that out. Yeah. We are on there too.
But anyway, ew, girl, you stink. Anyway, so we are, what was I saying? Oh yeah, we have a travel channel. We'll be traveling and having some videos up on there, so make sure you guys go check that channel out too. These are our doggy woggies, Mila Bila and Kobe Wobi. So, no, Mila and Kobe. But anyway, we hope you guys enjoyed this video. We'll see you in the next one.
See ya.